All right, this is our quick start training. Basically what it is, it gets you out the door. Some of you, today's first day, some of you have been on the bus for a couple of days last week. We are now trying to get everything so that new employees within the first week are trained where they need to be. So the first training is the quick start training. Then then the second training will be a pre-service training. Normally I'd be doing that tomorrow and Wednesday. You guys sort of luck out because I have surgery tomorrow. So when I'm back from surgery, which is only supposed to be a day or two, you will get part 2 and part 3, which is the pre-service training. But this at least gives you our company policies and all. Plus everybody here has done a ride along at some point along the way where you're riding with somebody to see how it goes. So, quick start training. This booklet, all of you in this room have signed, so you do not have to sign anything in the booklet. I guess Elena, you might not have, but everybody else, you've already signed it. So you don't have to sign it as you go. If you'd like to keep the booklet, this is all the paperwork you already signed with me. So you're off the hook with that. All right, so if we're starting on this front page is all the stuff we're supposed to be doing, but anyway, everybody here should have received a copy of the current laws and regs regulation book. That is a book that looks like this on the picture when you're looking at page 1. You signed that you received it, so hopefully that means I gave you the booklet. So with that, we move on to the second page. Our latchkey policy. Basically, any student we transport is special needs. So therefore, if they ride our bus, we need to see an adult come get the child off the bus. We have what we call a latchkey note. Basically, the latchkey note is just a parent saying it's okay to drop my child off either with somebody or to drop the child off with a key to get into the house. This does not mean it absolves you of the responsibility of making sure the kid gets in the house. Johnny gets on your bus and says, I forgot my key today. You've got to then call the office and we follow through to make sure the student can get in the house. I don't want you to say, well, he was a latchkey and we just let him go in, but he had no key to get in and we knew that. So the latchkey note, there is no age or anything who can take a kid off the bus. So when a parent says their 12-year-old is going to get their 10-year-old off the bus, as long as they're signing the piece of paper, legally we're able to do that. So that's the latchkey. And we make sure, again, even though you will do students who are high school age students, again, special needs. That doesn't mean you just get to drop them off on their own. Safety at every stop. We have to make sure that we are doing everything to get these kids safe. This next sheet, which talks about idling. The reason I put this in the book for monitors is we do not want drivers idling the buses forever. In the winter, I don't expect the driver to get on the bus and necessarily following a 5-minute idle period when it's 3 degrees outside. Same token, I don't want a driver coming in at 5:30 in the morning starting their bus and they don't leave till 8 o'clock. The bus is not going to get any hotter than it is after 10 or 15 minutes. Same thing in the summer. Air conditioning is going to come, and our buses almost all of them have front and rear air conditioning. Same thing, we tell the drivers, start your bus, you give it 5 or 10 minutes to cool off. I'm not going to say when you're sitting in a school for 20 minutes online to shut your bus off and whatnot. A school might say it, but I'm not going to say that. You've got to keep the bus comfortable for the special needs kids that we do. So this is really more for the drivers, but it's just so you understand if they do shut off the bus, so you understand why they're shutting it off. Plus with the price of gas, of course, it keeps going up and up and up. We try and watch out for that a little bit too. All right, backing up the vehicle. I understand you guys are not driving, or at least I hope you're not driving. But when your driver has to back up, it is your job to spot for the driver, which means from the back window, the back of the bus, you look out the window and you make sure. Now, I don't care that your driver says, I'm a professional, I've been driving since 1962, and you don't need to back up for me or whatever. Don't want to hear that. It is still your job. They choose to ignore you, I can't help that. But it's so important because we've, had incidents where we have to back up. We don't like to have buses back up. It is not against the law for a bus to back up, but there are some places where you have to back up, so you need to spot. If your driver has to back up on school property, and we do have a couple of schools where you do back up on school property, you as the monitor have to get out of the bus and spot from outside the bus. I want you to put on a show. You don't have to sing and dance, but you do have to be out there so that a school knows if you're backing up, if a driver's backing up, that you are outside. We had a driver several years back, she was doing achievements, and I watched, because first of all, we're going to talk about cameras, but anyway, I got to see when the driver was backing up, she almost hit a kid. Luckily, the parent had the kid in tow, and the parent was able to pull the kid back in time. When I called the driver in, and I had her sit and watch the video that we had of it, her answer to me was, well, it's a terrible parking lot, their parents drive all over the place. I said, now I understand. So you can hit the kids as long as the parents out there. Obviously being a little sarcastic, which you don't all know me yet, but I tend to be that way. It doesn't matter how dangerous the situations are. We have to do our due diligence. We have to make sure that we are watching everything that goes on and to make sure that a student does not get hurt. And the only way we can do that is for you to be out there spotting for your driver. Like I say, driver has to back up at in front of somebody's house or into somebody's driveway. Well, there you can be spotting from inside the bus. Yep.
What if the bus is like backing up before you even get to stand up and look behind?
Then you need to.
What if they God forbid hit something? Would that be the monitor's fault?
No. Well, if I were you and you're on a bus that a driver's doing that, I would say to the driver, hold on, I'm not even at the back window yet, because that means they're backing up way too fast. If you can't get from the first seat to the back of the bus in the 3 seconds that it should be taking that driver to look, that means the driver's not looking. So if you're comfortable talking to your driver, that's great. If not, you let Chris or I know, we'll talk to the driver. I don't want to turn any of you guys into spies, obviously. But same token, you've got to protect yourself as well as the kids you transport. So just like when a driver, we get a phone call like driver speeding and stuff like that, or reckless driving, and I ask a driver, and the driver says, well, yeah, and I say to the driver, to the monitor, well, you're on that bus, it's your life too. So if that driver is driving recklessly or driving too fast, I understand that you don't want to get into a confrontation with them, but at the same token, let us know and let us, because what we'll do, we got a phone call from a parent, a school, a passing motorist, we will never throw you under the bus. But again, if you're on the same bus every day with the same driver, I would hope you would get comfortable enough with your driver to be able to say, hey, can you wait till I at least get to the back of the bus and spot for you? Because you can always say, because I don't want to get in trouble. You're the professional driver, you know what you're doing, but I'll get in trouble if we don't spot. We had a driver back up about, maybe it's a month ago now, and she hit the vehicle in front of her, and not only, she had no monitor, but she did have the backup camera. So, again, how did she back up into the vehicle in front of her when she's got the camera right there? All right, next page we're moving on to. Taking changes. And a lot of these things are aimed at the drivers, but you are on the bus, and sometimes you may have a substitute driver, or just the fact you need to know these things for yourself. A parent wants to take a change and give you a different address to drop Johnny off this afternoon. You cannot do that. Parent needs to be told they need to contact their home district. If it's one of the preschool students, if you're doing the little kids in the car seats and boosters, we call them the Rensselaer County students, they have to contact Rensselaer County Health Department. We can always give you a number. If they are a regular elementary through high school, and they go to Watervliet, Cohoes, Green Island, whatever school district they come from, they need to, hi Kaylee. I will give you, we already got started, I knew you were on your way in, but you can follow through with this booklet, which of course, watch, your booklet doesn't have, if you want to grab one of these, this is what we're going through. Thank you, and we'll just keep going and I'll back up for what I missed. We're on the page that says no taking changes, which is like the third or fourth page. Anyway, parents have to notify the district if they have a change of address, even if it's just for one day. Because parents are very good, they're slick, they like to play the game. They will say, just for today only, can you drop my kid off at Aunt Tilly's house? Please, 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 I have an appointment, whatever. Well, we're not supposed to do it, but for you, I'll do it just today. So,
What do you want alcohol for?
never mind, I'll call her later. For just today, can you drop off at the different address? And you want to be the nice person, and you want to say, okay, I'll do it, but I can only do it for today because I'm not supposed to. But you're so nice to us, and you gave us cupcakes yesterday, so I'll drop you off at the different address. Now, the afternoon comes, and you get to that different address that you were so nice to be helpful with. Now you get to that address, and there's no parent there. No one there to take the kid off the bus. Now you call into the office, they were trying to drop off Johnny and nobody's coming out. Oh, okay, you're at 360 Fifth Avenue? No, Mom asked us to ... So now you're in trouble because you take the change. And Mom didn't bother calling into the office. But you were just doing a favor, so don't do it. The other thing that comes up is a parent will tell you, I already talked to the office, they said it's okay, just do it. They're lying, because if they called the office, we would have told you that they called the office. Now, yes, there are times that we don't get a message to a driver in a timely fashion and all, and you'll call and say, did you get a phone call that Johnny has to go to a different address today? And we'll say, yep, I didn't hear you sign on, or yes, I have that message. But don't do it just to be the nice person. You do something again for one day. Now the next week, what does Mom do? Can you drop off again at the aunt's house just for today? And you tell her, I can't do that. I told you last week it was only for today. Then that parent turns nasty and says, you did it last week, why can't you do it this week? So in your effort to try and do people a favor,
They take advantage.
they take advantage and you end up getting burned. And the main thing is, with the safety of the kids that we transport, we don't want to be at a wrong address. You don't know that there are custody issues going on, that they're not supposed to go to Aunt Tilly's house or whatever. So please, just, remember that. Do not take changes. They have to let us know. Alrighty, carrying on here. Next page we are at is, doesn't want to go. Well, maybe but there is no. Alright, post-tripping your bus. The driver is responsible at the end for post-tripping a bus. However, when we talk about post-tripping a bus when it comes to monitors, we mean that you check the bus for sleeping children. This is extremely, extremely important. We went, about 15 years ago, we left a student on the bus, and the police actually came and arrested the driver and the monitor. They let the driver go. They held the monitor more responsible because it is the monitor's responsibility to check the bus they felt. We, of course, in the end, know that it's the driver's responsibility in the end. But you, as the monitor, when your driver drops you off at school in the morning, before you even pull away from the door, you need to make sure you get up, walk to the back of the bus, look this way, under seats, make sure there is no kid left on the bus. That incident we had 15 years ago, we went a good 12 years without ever leaving a kid on the bus. Then in the course of 2 years, we left kids on the bus 5 times. Now, how many of you here have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews? Would you like there to be any excuse that we said your kid was left on the bus today and sorry, oops, we bad? No, I don't think so. So your job in the morning is to check that bus before you pull off of school property. And by that I mean when you are actually on school property and before you've even left the school property, when you're still at the door. In the afternoon, when you think your last child is off the bus, at that point also, you should make sure that there are no kids left on the bus. So you're checking it in the morning at the school, as well as checking it when you get off the bus back here at the terminal or at your house, wherever you're getting dropped off. In the afternoon, you check when you think the last student should be off your bus, and then when you're getting dropped back off at the house or at the terminal, wherever it is. So you're checking that bus each time. If you do 2 schools in the morning, you have to check both schools. You have to check the first school and the second school. The instances we had where kids were left on the bus, I had to call those parents. I had to watch videotapes because we have the cameras on the buses. You guys, you got to either not talk or step out. I'm sorry, I know you're trying to talk low, but it gets distracting for me. I'm sorry. You have to make sure that you're checking that bus. Like I say, we had kids left on the buses. Our cameras run 10 minutes after the bus shuts off. So a couple of times when kids were left on the bus, I got to watch the video. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So please, if you get nothing else out of any training that I teach, you ignore every other rule that we have. That is the one rule, the cardinal rule, not to ignore. Because number one, you'll be terminated. You will never work for another school bus company again or a school district. And you can be brought up on charges for child endangerment. No question about it. It's happened. So let's make sure that it doesn't happen. All right, next page after post-tripping your bus talks about, again, this is really just another page about checking your bus because we did have it happen. One of our schools called, and we weren't really wrong, but we weren't so right either. Twice in the course of a couple of weeks, the monitor did check their bus before they got off of school property, but the school was a little concerned because they had pulled away from the door, gotten basically to the driveway to pull out, and that's when they noticed the student. They sort of felt that the student should have been noticed before we get to the exit from school property. So that's when I sort of changed my terminology from until we get off school property until that you do it as soon as the drive is dropping off at the door, when the last kid is picked up, off that bus, and it just becomes an issue that we want to make sure that there are no issues. Sorry, every time somebody comes through I just get distracted. I don't mean it on you guys, but it's just the way I am today. So anyway, let's make sure the bus is empty is the bottom line. Calling off from work. I'm sure Carrie talked to you when she hired you about if you need time off, and she talked to you about sick time and all. Main thing that I want to emphasize is you work for Star and Strand. It's not enough just to call your bus driver and say, I won't be in today. You have to call our office. We have an answering machine that's 24 hours, or we're here we usually turn the phones on at 6 in the morning and they stay on till 4:30. So if you need to call off and it's, off hours, 4 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you're sick, you need to leave a message on your answering machine. Your name. I can't tell you how many people have left a message. It's me, I won't be in today. And Chris replays it 3 and 4 times to try and figure out who the me is. A lot of voices she knows, a lot of voices she doesn't. So just, your name, who you ride with. And if you'll be out all day or just the morning, alright, a lot of times, you know, we don't know, and then we have to try and track you down because we don't know if you were off morning and afternoon or just off for the morning. So just let us know. If you leave a message on the answering machine after 6:30, just give a call back again if you're awake and feeling up to it. I don't want to hear, I'm off today. But call back just to make sure we did get your message and we understood what your message was and all. Like I say, if you're one of the monitors who leaves early in the morning, we have to scramble. Like today, Chris had, I believe it was 9 monitors off, because all of you were out in the bus. There was nobody sitting around the driver's room today. I think it was last Friday, we had about 5 people sitting around the driver's room with nothing to do. So we go from feast to famine around here. I know when I hired each of you, I make my statement about the kids need the continuity and need to see the same people every day, because they do not take change very well. So, with the absenteeism. Excessive absences. I know I say this when I hire people too, and I'm amazed how many people the very first week of school or the first week that they start, they either oversleep because they're not a morning person. I've had a couple actually tell me I'm not a morning person. I said, well, I guess you picked the wrong job. I'm not a morning person either, but I still try and make it in the morning. But, you know, if you're not going to be in, just let us know so we can make sure that, you know, we've got your run covered. And again, don't just tell your driver, because what will happen is you'll tell your driver, and then the driver's going to come here looking for a monitor. We're not going to know you're off. Chris has already set up the morning agenda, who's going out with who. Now we've got to juggle everything around. So just make sure that you're, we got to get oil for that door. We've just got to make sure that we know you're out there. And again, it's Jay Schneider. If you ever look at the signature on the check, it's Jay Schneider. It's not driver Bill Bowles or driver John Smith or whatever it is. So that's why we need to know. Yep.
Do we have to come in the office in the morning, or can we just like walk to the bus and like...
You can, as long as you're on a permanent bus, you can go right to the bus and we're good. If you're still a sub, you need to check in with us so we know you're there. Once you're on a permanent run, come in whatever time your bus driver tells you to come in. You can get right on the bus. I know you don't want to see our smiling faces in the morning, because I'm usually not smiling that much in the morning. But anyway, my only excuse for this week is the fact I got surgery tomorrow. They're putting a pacemaker in, so I'm very stressed out today. So that's why I've been a little short. Shorter than normal, because the old-time drivers will tell you I'm usually this way, but little more than normal today. Anyway, excessive absences. We're really pretty flexible around here. I really make the statement, if you can't work for Star and Strand, you really can't work for anybody, because we do put up with a lot. But excessive absence, and I don't know exactly what excessive absence is, except I know it when I see it. If you're missing, you know, 2-3 days every month, that to me is already excessive absence. You're missing any more than that, it's really excessive absence. And what I do is every month I give Jay a list. He's the owner of the company. Most of you have not met him, but you might have seen him coming and going. If that's the list you don't want to be on, you just don't want to be called in his office. I don't like to send you to the principal's office. But that's what it amounts to, because I know sometimes monitors and drivers, they take it from the principal and they don't want to hear it from me, the teacher. So they just ignore me, but when they get called into Jay's, now I noticed I sent people in, it was about 2 months ago, and every single one of them, for whatever reason, after talking to Jay, cleaned up their act, so to speak, and came into work every day. So if that's what it takes, that you're more afraid of Jay than you are of me, I can live with that. But it gets to the point when you get our last nerve, you know, because you've called off way too often, that Chris or I are just going to say, done, or we'll move you from a regular run to going back to being a sub, whatever we have to do. And if you're a no-show, that's, look, everybody oversleeps once in a while or something like that happens, but nobody oversleeps till, I don't think, till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, if you're supposed to be in, you know, maybe you're supposed to be in at 6 o'clock and you oversleep and you realize it's 7 o'clock. But I don't know, even when I oversleep, somehow I wake up and oh shit, you know, it's 6:30 as compared to, you know, it's 4 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon. Just call and let us know, look, I'm sorry I overslept. We'll grumble a little bit, but our next thing will be, are you in this afternoon? Just so we know. Again, you have a lot of oversleeping, that's going to be an issue. But we had drivers, monitors rather, just last week, 2 of them, who, you know, overslept and never heard from them again. And then in the afternoon, we're doing payroll, and I'm saying to, you know, Chris and Jay that I'm not planning on them being in this afternoon, and I'm getting, well, let's wait and see if they show up. You know what, if they really cared about their job, we're doing payroll at 2:30 in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We should have known by now if they were planning on showing up. Well, they, you know, he didn't show up. So, and again, we've given that one, I can't even tell you how many chances we did, because he's a great monitor, but he's not there all the time. So anyway, calling off, you know the routine. Some of you, many of you, you will end up having Chris's phone number, Chris the dispatcher. Please do not call her, you know, thinking you're being helpful, calling her cell phone at 2 in the morning to say you won't be in, or calling, you know, in the middle of the night on Saturday, you know, saying you won't be in on Monday or something. I mean, I know you think you're being helpful, but when she grumbles at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know. Updating the runs. When you have a regular run, not a bad idea. Your driver's supposed to have a copy of the run on the bus. Not a bad idea when you have the same run, get a copy of the run so you have a copy of the run. So if the driver calls off, or even if it's the regular driver, so you start to learn your kids' names, and if you have a seating chart on the bus, where they sit, you know when kids are absent, because if you help the driver with their attendance sheets and all. So try and, you know, learn who the kids are. I always joke, we have one driver here that I always say, if on June 25th, which is usually the last day of school, I would offer her $100 if she could name all the kids who ride her bus. She still couldn't name the kids who ride her bus. It's Billy with the blue hair, or, you know, Fat Mary, or whatever nicknames. Oh, we have nicknames for all of them. Well, that's because you don't want to learn their real names. You know, hey you, sit down. You know what? They're not going to respect you if you don't respect them. Learn their names. It's not like there's 66 kids on our buses. Even our buses that are the most full only usually have about 15 or 16. So really, learn the kids that are on their bus. You will get much better respect from them. They will listen to you better if you can say, Mary, please sit down, instead of, hey, you in the 3rd seat, sit down. I understand when you're a sub, that's a little bit harder to do. So again, keeping the run updated. Your driver's responsibility is to keep the office updated. If you're on a regular run and you see that your driver has changed the run around, or it's done differently, and the driver, not that I would mention like the driver's name Kathy or anything like that, who would not give us the updated order because they just don't think about it. If you want to come in at some point and see Chris and just say, or see me and just say, look, this is not the order we dropped the kids off in, I'll give you the updated order. So again, keeping them up to date, and to help yourselves, getting accurate phone numbers. At the beginning of the year, or whenever we get a new student, they give us name, address, and incorrect phone number. I can almost guarantee it, because half the phone numbers are wrong. So I always tell our drivers and moms 2 or 3 times during the course of the school year, when parents bring their kids out, hey, is this still your phone number, this 438 number? Oh no, that hasn't been my phone number since 1958, you know? Just ask, you know, and keep an updated phone number when you can. It will make it that much easier when you get to a house, Johnny's not home, and you want to get home for the day, and you're trying to track down a parent who's not there. All right, physical performance test. Most of you, well, a lot of you have done physical performance tests. We tried to do them last week, but a lot of things were going on last week. I was trying to catch up with a lot of stuff. So if you have not done your physical performance test, we will do it with Roxanne, the one who is wandering in, checking on the camera. We will do that when I'm back from my surgery Basically, for the mods, you can see it's 3 trips up and down the steps. In the first seat, you walk from the first seat to the back of the bus, hold on to the back seat, sit and slide out, and then you pull a weight, 125 pounds, you pull it the length of a school bus. We have little old ladies at 80 years old who can pull the weight, so I'm not too concerned about anyone in here being able to pull the weight. So that's your physical performance test. If at any point during the course of your employment you can't do that physical performance test for some reason, you hurt your back, you got pregnant, the dog ate your toe, I don't know what it might be, you have to let us know that you're not able to perform, because the reason for the physical performance test, which you will learn when we do the pre-service training, is in the event that you have to evacuate a bus and you have to get the kids safely out of the bus and you have to drag a student out the bus or help them on, off the steps or anything like that, you have to be able to perform that. So that's your physical performance test. Yes, sir?
You have to drive.
Huh?
You have to drive.
Well, I would hope not, but if the kid is, unconscious and can't get out under their own power, absolutely you
You're
will.
gonna pick up 125 students up?
Are you talking about the weight or are you talking about the kid?
No, like the kid.
Yeah, if you can pick up the student, I mean, again, it all depends. Right, if you're picking up a preschool student, an elementary kid, you can probably pick them up and help them out the bus, get them out the bus. You have a 300-pound high schooler who's in the back of the bus. You're probably not picking them up. And you know what? They build the kids a lot bigger on the farm than they used to. So a lot of these kids, they are bigger kids. So the main thing is, if there's ever an emergency, we talk about the bus drills that we do. We do them 3 times a year. But if there's ever an emergency, you and your driver, you have to get all those kids safely out of the bus. It's not good enough to say, I got 9 out of 10 out. That's a pretty good percentage. Not really. We've got to get them all out. So you've got to be prepared in the event of emergency to get them out of the bus any way possible. You might have kids, if you're doing a wheelchair run. That case, if you can't get the wheelchair out because the lift is not working or your bus is burning, you're not going to lower and, raise and lower the lift 5 times to get the kids out. You're going to drag them out. That's why on the wheelchair buses they have these emergency blankets so you can drag them across the floor. When we actually do wheelchair training, we show you all that stuff. But we don't give everybody wheelchair training just because so few drivers and monitors do wheelchair runs. If we taught it to you now and we send you on a wheelchair run in 3 months, you're not going to remember all those things about the wheelchair. I'm happy if you remember everything that I mumbled today. The child find alarms. As we talked about earlier, we've had kids left on the bus. And there's no excuse for it because your job is to walk to the back of the bus. Students that were left on the bus for various reasons, one of them was found out here wandering the parking lot. The driver did not notice that student. Another one, the driver parked at her house because she was allowed to take the bus home. But one of the things that her and the monitor worked out, they were dropping the monitor off before they dropped off like the last 3 or 4 kids because it was more convenient for everybody. Well, for the kid, for the driver and the monitor was more convenient, not so much for the kids. We watched the video of that one and you could hear the kid. First of all, you could see the kid because our camera, if you're in one of the buses that has a camera, you can see they aim to the back of the bus. You could see the kid clear as day in the last seat, after the driver had gotten off the bus, and you could hear the kid in the tiny little, almost crying voice, they're supposed to check the bus and make sure that I'm not left on the bus, and they left me. Now here's a special needs kid who knew enough that we shouldn't have left her on the bus, and yet there was our driver who left her on the bus. She was suspended for a month and a half. We had a couple of other drivers with some other instances. Now it is automatic termination. There is no excuse at all for a kid being left on the bus. That was a decision between Jay and I, because I said if you're not going to support my fact that nobody leaves a kid on the bus, then don't ask me to teach it anymore, because I'm not going to teach something if we're going to, when it happens, say, well, the news didn't hear about it, or the parent wasn't too upset, or the kid didn't die, so I think we're okay just No, that's not how it's gonna work. So that's why I said, if you get nothing else from these trainings, you make sure you walk to the back of the bus, and you make sure no student is left in the bus. With the alarms, there is a button in the back of the bus that a driver knows how to use. When the driver tries to say to you, "Oh, do me a favor, just shut that button up for me, it's okay." No, it's not okay. It's not your job to do that. It is their job to do that. Don't be, suckered in, so to speak, where they talk you into doing it. Because again, it's their responsibility in the end. And you know what the driver will end up doing? The driver will end up saying that, I didn't know, that my monitor didn't check the bus or whatever. Meanwhile, it's, it just can't be. So great that you know how to use the child find alarm, but it's the driver's job to do it. There's 3 different types of alarm on the buses. We teach the drivers what they have to do before they actually push the button. When you are walking to the back of the bus, and I say you look from side to side under the seat. About 3 years ago, we did, we do a refresher meeting every August, and we took, I don't know, maybe a dozen drivers or monitors, one at a time. We took them out to a bus, and we said, we want you to find everything that's in the bus that shouldn't be, or everything that was done not properly when this driver shut off their bus. And they went out individually. Almost all of them found, the seatbelt that wasn't buckled, or, a notebook left in the bus, or a backpack in the bus. But out of 12, only 1 noticed that there was still a kid on the bus. We had a kid that we borrowed. It was Chris Bedoyne's grandson, tiny little kid, and it's amazing what he would do for $5. He stayed under that back seat and didn't make a peep. And only 1 person saw that kid there. Now, if you don't think the kids will hide, they will. So again, I emphasize, one of our drivers who did leave a kid on the bus, he said, the kid's always playing a game, always pretends to be sleeping when we drop off and stuff like that. Well, I said, oh, so the kid was pretending to be asleep, so it was okay that you left the kid on the bus. There's that sarcasm of mine kicking in. Because I said to him, you know what, if you know the kid does this, that's even more reason for you to be checking the bus, because you know the kid is doing this to you. So again, so he got you because the kid pretended to be asleep and you left him on the bus. So again, not a good situation. Yes, sir.
What if your bus driver is big?
Yeah.
And
and he's gonna tell you that he can't get up and do the child find alarm.
Like you would be sitting as the monitor job. You're sitting in one of the seats, right?
Yep.
So when they pull up to the parking lot, turning everything off. As a favor, I do it, turn it off. But you're telling me not to, so it's like I just
I've
like.
been told you that not to do it.
As I will not go against my statement. I will go and say, it's just like I say about, you're not supposed to have a drink on the bus. Soda, big bottle of coffee, whatever. Am I the coffee police that I'm going to chase after you? I'm not the coffee police. Am I ever going to change my statement? No. So am I going to change my statement? No. Am I going to say, in a hypothetical situation, you're here at the terminal, you know your driver, even though it's hard for him, because it would be for me, to get out of the seat, walk to the back of the bus, push the button, all within 30 seconds. I might say, okay, you know what, I will keep doing it, hypothetically, but I'm going to stay there and I'm going to watch him walk to the back of the bus and make sure he's doing his job too, if that makes sense.
Right.
So this way, you're doing, hypothetically, for your driver, but you're also making sure that your driver's not just letting you do it and then he gets off the bus or she gets off the bus and walks away.
Right.
If you're Macy and you can say, look, they just told me at the class I'm not supposed to do it, Joe, whoever it is, I don't care. I'm not supposed to do it, Joe, but I will. But after I push that button, I'm going to stay here till I see you walk to the back of the bus. Even if he walks to the back on the outside of the bus,
opens up his back door and just looks under the seats.
So the driver.
So if you're so that you guys are comfortable and you're seeing the driver doing the job. If the driver just depends on you, because what happens on the day you don't show up, and the next monitor doesn't do what you've been doing to help him out.
Right.
So again, if you're uncomfortable saying it, I hypothetically would talk to the driver if I had to and just say, look, I know you're having your monitor do this, but you're not supposed to. I also know you're, bigger than I am or as big as I am, and I know how it is to get up from the seat and walk to the back of the bus. So I'm going to let your driver keep pushing, your monitor keep pushing the button, but before he leaves your bus, you better make sure you walk around to the bus and do your job by checking through the back door.
Right.
Work it out is what I'm trying to say. I would never get you in. You would not get into trouble for doing it that way. Because now you're saying, look, I pushed the button for him, but I also watched him walk to the back of the bus and he checked after I checked. That to me would be a fair compromise, because I really feel some of our drivers, look around. I have a walker, but look around. How many drivers we have here walking around with canes, missing parts on their body, coming to work sick as a dog because they know we're short-handed. So I don't want to lose a driver because something they just have really a troubled time to do. And if they had to get up from the bus seat and walk to the back of the bus with their cane and everything else, and they're trying to get it done, you know what? We're a team. We try and work together. Teamwork. So work with your monitor is what I say, hypothetically, of course. And anyone who wants to discuss anything with me individually, certainly come see me in the office at any point if you're uncomfortable with something I say, or you just want to get clarification, or you want me to sign a letter saying it's okay that you do this. Alrighty, so that's our child find alarms. Garage notes, most of these items are aimed at the driver. The only thing I want to talk about with monitors is vehicle cleanliness. You have to ride the bus every day. So driver and monitor work together. I know we have some drivers, and there's no other nice way to put it other than they're pigs. And their buses are filthy and disgusting. And it's important that you check and that the bus gets cleaned. Every day, not every day necessarily, but just make sure the vehicle gets swept out. I don't expect it mopped and scrubbed. When you sweep your vehicle out, because we have one driver here, and I was going to talk to the driver already because I happened to pass by behind their bus, and you could tell that somebody swept all the garbage out of the bus into the parking lot. Now, I know it's very hard for me to specifically yell at that driver. However, when I happened to mention this to another driver about the cleanliness of the buses, that driver actually said, talk to the, and she gave the same number of the one that I already knew was sweeping out. So now I know that I'm right when I say it, because somebody saw that person, whether it was the driver or mine, actually sweep their garbage out into the parking lot. First of all, we have somebody who then has to clean it up. So, and again, what's the old, don't litter? Come on, just if it's one thing you sweep out your bus and it's all dust. It's another thing when you see papers and crumpled up papers, and it was very clear that it was swept out of that one specific bus. Whether the driver did it or the monitor did it, I don't know. But later today, because this happened on Friday, I will address it with the driver, and that driver will determine whether it's them that they need to address it with themselves or with their monitor. But anyway, some of you have gotten in buses. We had a monitor who started, we put him on a permanent run, and they came in the second day before any training. Can I have a broom and a dustpan? Because even he knew that the bus was filthy and disgusting and needed to be cleaned. So, DOT, our buses come up for DOT twice a year. They come up for service depending how many mileage gets put on. Whenever a bus goes to the garage, the mechanic is very nice to me. He tells me exactly what was done wrong and tells me I need to train people. So if the bus comes in dirty, we can get written up for DOT, which is Department of Transportation. We can get written up for that, and they can actually take that bus out of service because it's dirty. So you need to, again, I don't expect you to clean somebody else's garbage, or if your driver doesn't do anything, you know, I don't expect you to be taking up the, you know, the mantle for doing it all, but work together. Driver, when he's gassing up, can clean the front windows and whatnot, while the monitor gives the bus a quick sweep, whatever, just to make sure they're relatively clean. You have to ride in the bus all day, 4, 5, 6 hours a day. If you're in a filthy bus, I guess that means maybe you live in a filthy house, so you don't know what clean is. Because I know some drivers, their definition of clean and my definition of clean are two different things. So I always remember when I first started here, the transportation manager's name was Warren. He had me go do a run, and I came back after, and I said, I want to thank you there, Warren, give me that bus. I opened up the driver's door, and first out came the garbage that was in the wheel well, you know, in the little step stool there. And I said, but luckily, once I did get in the bus and I was driving, I didn't have to worry about letting go of the wheel because my hand stuck to it. The bus was filthy and disgusting. Well, I'm sure that driver's house looked the same way. So anyway, you know, just, you know, again, kids are going to make a mess. They're not supposed to eat and drink on your bus. Again, I'm not the kid police with food and stuff like that, but if kids eat on your bus and they make a mess on the bus and you choose to let them eat on the bus, well, your job to also clean up their mess. You want to be nice and tell them, I'll let you eat on my bus, you know, because I know you don't have lunch period or something like that, but take your garbage with you. You know, just to try and keep your bus clean.
And you could report the kid that doesn't listen with the trash.
Absolutely, with anything. If any kids are doing anything, this is one of the reasons to know your kids' names. You let us know, because if a kid's making a mess of a bus, we'll report it to the district. Kids writing, all of a sudden you see some kids, they have markers and they start writing on the backs of the seats and stuff like that. Let us know, because you know what? We'll make them clean it. We'll go through the district and we'll make them clean the seats. So you let us know. Let your driver know also. All right, cell phones. Again, mainly aimed at the driver. When a driver is driving down the road, we don't want them on their cell phone, because if they're on their cell phone, they can't be concentrating on their driving. Same token, you as the monitor, if you're playing games on your cell phone or checking out Facebook or Marketplace or Twitter or whatever it is that people check out nowadays on their phone, you know, you're not watching what goes on with the students. So keep an eye on the students. Put your cell phone in your pocket. You know, you need to get a phone call. You know, I'm not going to say not to answer your phone as a monitor, but not to have a 20-minute conversation with your kid. You know, did you put your book bag away? Is your book bag all packed? Do you have your lunch all packed? Did you change your diaper yet this morning? Whatever it is you have to talk about your kid with, or maybe your significant other, see if they've changed their diaper that morning, whatever it is. But again, not to be having, you know, conversations. Remembering too, you have children on the bus, you have students on the bus. What you're having an adult conversation with are things that students and children should not be hearing. And we had an issue not that long ago. The monitor no longer works here. The monitor chose to talk about her sexuality on the bus. And then when the kid proceeded to, you know, tell her what he thought of that, because what he learned in his own household, that monitor, of course, you know, got totally bent out of shape. Well, if you didn't talk to your kid about what you were or whatever, then that kid, you know, who believes in his own church, what he learns at home, whatever it is, would have nothing to say to you. But if you're going to say stuff about your personal life, you know, and then a parent's going to say, why are you talking about that, you know, you and your girlfriend, or you and your boyfriend, or when you used to be Chuck and now you're Marie, or whatever it is. And you know what? No problem with any of it, but nobody's business any of it either. My daughter has a friend, he used to be Jason, he's now Rebecca. We've accepted with no problem, no issue, that's fine. Whatever your personal feelings are, that's fine. We have kids that we transport in the past couple of years, we've gotten from a district, used to be so-and-so, now referred to as so-and-so. That's just the way the world is nowadays. If you're uncomfortable with that, you keep your mouth shut. You know, you want to talk about things, driver and monitor, you talk about things when no kids are on the bus. Whatever you talk about is one thing. Kids on the bus, absolutely inappropriate to talk about any of that stuff, whether it's on your cell phone. Because even we watched again, one of the parents, one of the kids on the bus actually videotaped some of the things that this former monitor said, so inappropriate that the monitor said. But the monitor, you know, I'm talking to the driver, stop listening and mind your own business. You're in a van. You don't think a kid's gonna listen to every peep that comes out of your mouth? You know, especially if there's any juicy gossip that goes with it. I mean, come on. The next page talks about being a professional on the bus. This really just sums up everything. Probably this is something I should give everybody when you fill out your original application about being a professional. Sometimes I think we forget. This is a chosen, for all of us right now, in this time and place, our chosen profession. You're a school bus monitor. You chose to come here and be a school bus monitor or a school bus driver. So we need to be the professional. I know that you wish you were getting $25 an hour instead of $14.20 an hour, but nobody forced you to come in to work for the, you know, for whatever the pay rate is. So, student safety first. Protecting a child no matter what. Using good judgment, safety, when it comes to the students. Scanning for any hazards. You are a second set of eyes for your school bus driver. You happen to look out, you see a dog running or a kid running off the sidewalk. Give your driver the heads up. You might see it before the driver does. Performing the professional pre-trip. Again, your driver should be doing it. If your driver says, hey, can you do me a favor every morning? I'll tap on my brake lights. Can you make sure I have brake lights? Can you make sure my turn signals work? Because sometimes when two people do a pre-trip together, it can go a lot faster than if the driver's just doing it by themselves. If you're out there and the driver can just sit behind the wheel, that proverbial bigger driver who's hard getting on enough the seat, walking with the cane, if the monitor can be in the back checking when he flicks the turn signals and when he does the brake lights, again, work together as a team, it just makes it a little easier. Being mature and professional in matters of language, appearance, hygiene, cleanliness on the bus, and having self-control. That one sentence says a lot. That one sentence says a lot right there. Being the professional, being mature. Remember, you're the adult. I know when I just hired Kaylee on Friday, first thing I said, you're almost the same age as some of the kids we transport. It can become really easy to become too close friends with them and say things that you'd say to a friend, but you can't say because you're the adult. Language, again, kids on the bus, no F words, or, I mean, even, you know, using stuff that they use on TV nowadays. They didn't used to on regular TV say ass and stuff like that. I know they do now, but again, these kids will run home and tell their parents, my driver said I'm an ass. What's that mean? You know.
What do you do when they curse?
Huh?
What do you do when they curse?
You know what? It becomes a pick and choose your battles. We don't talk that way on the bus is what I start with. If the kid's doing it a lot or aiming at other kids, we have the write-up to conduct reports. You can nicely talk to a parent and say, look, you know, some of the things Johnny's saying on the bus, he called me an F-tard or something like that. Could you please talk about that? Because we have elementary school kids on this bus, they don't need to hear the language. Yep.
I had a student this morning, she cursed at another student, but like how we curse,
Yep.
she was, and she's only 4. And she just started cursing at the other student, and I looked at her, and I was like, does your mama know you speak like that? She's like, no, please don't tell my mom. And I'm like, I have to report it because you're using foul language and we don't use it on the bus. And she just started crying.
Well, but see, there's a case where I say, I won't tell your mom this time, but next time I will. You know, be there, you know, there's a case where you can be their confidant and their friend a little bit. But, you know, she probably heard the word at home or something like that, or heard it somewhere, and it becomes easier then to use it.
I had kids that wasn't even cursing, they were just being straight racist. I didn't know what to say, what to do. I was just like, oh my God.
Well, that's again, you know, after the kid gets off the bus, you and your driving discuss it. That needs to come to us because it will only escalate, and racist. Absolutely, there's something called the Dignity Act, where students have the right to be treated with respect and all. If they are saying things on the bus that is racial, that has to be addressed from our end, from the school's end. So you have to let us know if they're calling you a racial name or another kid a racial name. That's got to be stopped immediately. You have to let us know about it, and we will call the district. It's called the Dignity for All Students Act. You're going to do a video on that probably next week that explains about it. Yep.
What do you do if your driver is having a heart attack or a stroke? Do you drive to the hospital, or you just want me to sit there and call the police?
Well, it all depends whether you like the driver or not. Are we worried about him having a heart attack out there? I mean, obviously, it used to be the radio is your friend, but almost everyone has a cell phone. You call us. We don't want you driving, firstly with kids on the bus. Now, did anyone see the video? Maybe that's why you're bringing it up. The video this weekend where on Friday, where a kid, the driver actually passed out in the school bus, and the kid got up, and you could see him putting his foot on the brake, stopping the bus, because the driver was passed out, telling one of the other kids on the bus, call 911. Sounded like the other kids, they were a little panicked, and they're saying like, what? And this kid, call 911, get whatever. That's what you do. You call 911, because anything is going to be quicker getting police to you. That's why you need to know you run a little bit where you're located. So again, if something does happen, we're in the corner of 5th Avenue, 101st Street. My driver just passed out. I need 911. I have an emergency. But we don't want you hopping behind the bus wheel and driving. Not unless you're going to get your CDL for us. But yeah, if something happens medically, and that's why we do these bus drills that we do. A lot of our kids, they don't understand what's going on when we do the bus drills. But you need to know as the monitor how to use the two-way radio, to be able to call on the phone or the radio and say, look, we're at whatever the address is, and I'm out here with Joe, and he just all of a sudden he's, seems like something's going on, medical issue, whatever it is. Same thing if you have a kid with a medical issue on the bus. If if something happens to you, your driver's going to get you to an emergency room or to a hospital or to a fire station.
So the kids would go, the bus driver would have to report it, and the kid would be driven to the hospital?
It all depends what's going on. We would make a decision what to do. Sometimes what'll happen, if you're right near someplace and you're near a firehouse or something like that, and that's going to be closer than you getting to an ambulance or something, then you're going to do something like that, like if you have a kid having a seizure or something on your bus. But it's always going to be call on the radio, call on the phone, let us make the decision. We don't want you guys to have to make that decision. We've been doing it a long time. If we're going to make a wrong call, let us be the ones to make the wrong call instead of you guys. Yep.
Wouldn't it be better, for example, if they, like you said, if the kid is having a seizure or any medical thing, wouldn't we have to help first before?
But absolutely. I mean, for a seizure,
like a CPR class.
If you needed to do any of that, so I don't know how many have taken CPR classes. We teach it to our wheelchair drivers and monitors. We haven't even done that in a while. There's an emergency on the bus. You pick up the radio, you pick up the phone, and ask us what to do. Again, we'll tell people on the radio, emergency, nobody else gets to talk. And, we'll work with you. You call on the phone and say, look, this kid is doing, all of a sudden he's sitting there and drooping down or something like that. We'll let you know. Maybe we'll tell you, for some of the parents, tell us, or they'll tell you, my kid has seizures. You don't have to do anything, though. He'll just sit there and, zone out. So you just keep an eye on him. You call us on the radio and say, look, or on the phone, Johnny, seems like he's having a seizure. Mom told us just to let it play out, but what do you want us to do? And then we'll tell you what to do. But always, let us make whatever the call has to be, let us do. Luckily, the situations happen so rare and so not often that usually you don't have to worry about. I don't want you to think that, oh my God, this could happen to me any day. Yes, anything could happen on any day. But unfortunately, these parents and all in the school district, they don't give us a lot of information. I get back to my statement, name, address, and incorrect phone number. They don't tell us what's wrong with any of these kids. They don't tell us any of the medical conditions. They don't really tell us much of anything. continuing on this one sentence here, emotional self-control, your own personal hygiene. I know we've talked to 1 or 2 people. Marijuana is legal. Can't tell you you're not allowed to smoke it on your own time and whatnot. But if you're coming in smelling from it, you know what? We're going to hear it from a school district, from a teacher, from a parent. We're going to hear it, and we just don't need, we're not going to send you for testing, but it's just like we used to have a couple of monitors would come in, they smelled like cat pee or whatever. They said they showered every day, I'm sure they did, but it probably got on their clothes and stuff like that. People who smoke. I have some people here for years, like Chris, my dispatcher out here, for years I had no idea she smoked. I have other drivers who come in as soon as they get close to my desk, it's like because they just reek from it because they're just smoking all in the corner there.
Oh, sorry, Ari, I'm leaving.
I know you're excited.
I am. I can't wait.
I know it.
Stop
All right. Arrive more physically and mentally prepared for your responsibilities. Look, we don't want you to call off, but if you're so sick or your mind is someplace else and you can't do the job, then you've got to, pick up the phone and say, I can't come in today. She's waiting for her granddaughter to be born. So if it happens today, I guess I have to let her have the afternoon off. You'd think the daughter could wait until 4 o'clock when they're done with the run, but probably not. Be honest and promptly report any incident, accident, problem, mistake, whatever. Again, protect yourself by calling on the phone, on the radio, and let us know. Even if you've done something that maybe you shouldn't have done, or you goofed on something like that, just come in and say, look, I did this. I will say, nobody gets fired from around here. I mean, you really have to do something. I mean, pull out I can't even say those words anymore. But I forget sometimes, but you make a mistake, or you do something, or after you've done something, you realize, gee, I probably didn't handle it the way I should have. How could I have done it differently, or something like that, or I accidentally was on the bus and Johnny got my last nerve and I told him to sit the F down. Just confess that you've done it. When the parent calls, I'm going to say, you know what, if your Johnny would have sat the F down, we wouldn't have used the F word. But anyway.
What if, right, I'm not saying particularly me, but what if somebody has a reflex and they get hit by a kid and they just hit the kid back?
Again, you've
that's
got...
automatically fired, right?
You won't get fired. Oh, you mean if they hit if they hit you and you hit them back? Yeah, I wouldn't hit them back. You better stop that reflex before you go this way. No, look, I had a driver ask me that same question because he said, I know myself, and if somebody hits me, I'm going to hit him back. I said, well, you're dealing with kids. You better learn to, control yourself, because you do that. He's the kid. You're the adult. He'll start it, you're up on charges. So you better, again, if he's, out of control and you don't feel you can safely handle him, then that's when you tell your driver, hey, I need you to pull over because Billy's hitting me or whatever. But you can restrain him, you can hold him back from hitting you. I don't expect you to stand there and keep getting punched by the kid, but you can have the reflex to go hit him back. Confidentiality, you have to remember everything that happens is confidential. You can't walk into the driver's room and say, man, you can't believe how bad Billy Smith was on the bus today. You cannot do that. Or when you're going to be stuck with Billy this afternoon, let me tell you what he did to me this morning. Confidentiality. All right, we already did. Demonstrate flexibility. Well, if you're not flexible around here, forget it, you won't last very long, because as much as we'll use the word permanent around here, nothing is really permanent. We try. Treating all children, parents, school personnel, co-workers with tolerance, compassion, civility, and respect, regardless of whatever. We all come from different backgrounds, different places. We all have been taught different things. As I say, the world has changed a lot, and it's not like it used to be, and therefore, you have to be accepting of things that a few years ago, who would have ever thought of some of these things? All right, we're almost done here. Loading and unloading. Basically, loading and unloading, you've got your driver, but you are, again, if you have to help kids on and off the bus, a lot of the kids, most of them get on and off the buses themselves, but if you have a kid who needs help, that's your job. Not just, again, a parent's supposed to come to the door of the bus. But if a parent doesn't, and you know Johnny needs help getting up and down the steps, then you've got to be the one to help Johnny getting up and down the steps, and things like
I
that.
have one more question that I've always wanted to ask you and I forgot.
Yep.
So in New York, the matrons always get out the bus.
We don't make that the policy
It's just
because
if they need it, right?
if they need it. Only because, again, now it takes the chance of the monitor, the matron getting hurt, the kid, all of a sudden you're helping the kid on and off, and the kid takes off, and the monitor was, the mother wasn't out there. So we don't say it at every stop, only if you have students who need the assistance. Preschool kids, the mother should be coming right to your door to put the kid on and off the bus. But if the mother's one of these parents who, yeah, come on Johnny, come on, hurry up, Oprah's on, come on, move it along, then you have to be the one to help the kid on and off the bus. Yep.
I do want to ask you a question that I wanted to ask you Friday, but I couldn't. I was on my grandmother's run, and I had this wallet right here, and it's like the chain. I have to put it on like pants. I have the loop.
Yep.
And one of the kids was playing with it. I didn't know if like I was like, oh, do I?
Well, that's what they're gonna do. You have hoop earrings, you have long hair, be prepared for the kids to get on the bus and, oh, look at the.
I had a student that
And
was
when-
just like this with my ponytail, like, your hair is so soft.
Yep, and you have kids with, monitors with like the loop earrings and stuff like that. You've gotta be careful, because kids can get at anything, so I would keep that in your pants, because they'll see, especially if they see something shiny, like any kid, they just wanna play with it, they just wanna look at it. So, you gotta be careful with stuff like
I
that.
had a kid that wanted to play with my sweater today. He was like, oh, you have the nets, let me see. I'm like, you want me to take my sweater off? I'm not doing that.
Well, there you go. So you can see you're all gonna have instances with situations like that. So you can look, but you can't touch. Oh, you want to see what my wallet looks like? Here's what it looks like. The chain is on there, just like you explained to me. The chain's on there because I can put it on my belt loop. The earrings. I like these earrings, but you may find out having those earrings on the bus are not a good thing, because especially if they're pierced earrings, the kid goes,
Jay said these are the ones he wants to use now. He switched up again.
Okay, I thought those, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. All right, anyway, the camera, I've already talked about the camera on there. Most of our buses, well, probably half our buses have cameras on them. The cameras run, as soon as your driver turns the bus on to start their pre-trip, the camera starts running, and it runs for 10 minutes after the bus shuts off. So anything that happens, like a driver not pre-tripping the bus thoroughly, or you not checking the bus at the end or whatever, we're gonna see it. Do we get on the buses or do we pull the chips to check these cameras? We do not, unless there's an incident comes up. I mean, I doubt we've checked 10 chips since September of this year. I don't care. I shouldn't say that, of course I care. It doesn't matter what's going on the bus that you and the driver are talking about what a jerk I am, or how stupid the company is, or how, whatever you want to talk about, or I don't care what they say, I'm bringing my big gulp with me on the bus or whatever. Nobody's looking for any of that stuff unless an issue happens and we have to look at a chip. Then we look at it. But again, nobody's looking to be a spy on you. I say to my wife, she's got a camera on the bus, honey, I really don't care what you're saying about me on the bus to your nephew. So nobody's checking your camera. Huz, I might check though, you never know. But anyway, the cameras, again, they're there for everybody's protection. The camera is your friend. I can't tell you, over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, half the time that we have checked the camera because somebody wanted us to, not a parent, we only checked the school district request, we've actually seen our employees doing not only right, but more than right, and have seen other, the kids doing the stuff wrong. We had one parent who said that they turned our monitor in for dragging their kid off the steps of the bus, dragging the kid off the bus. Well, we put in that, we watched that video chip. The only one who dragged the kid off the bus was the mother. She had no idea there was a camera on the bus. I've seen drivers and monitors be so professional. I watched a monitor who works for us now, his name is Pete, and I say it because it was such a good thing. I watched the video of Pete. The mother was cursing him out, complaining. that monitor stayed more professional than any normal person should or could have. Because I couldn't have stayed that professional that long. I would have gotten to the point where I would have finally said to the mother, you know what, F you too, lady. But he just, it was so nice to see, because no matter what this mother, everything she was saying, he was just professional and calm, and that's what you need to be. But the camera has shown more times than not our employees doing the right thing, and other issues. Yeah, there are times, unfortunately, I've had to look at the camera and I cringe a little bit. A school district wants to look at something and I'll say, I'm sorry, the camera didn't work that day. I try not to use that very often, but I mean, you know, 'cause not that we've done anything terrible, but sometimes things that you see are just things that you would rather, it could have been handled better, let's put it that way, a nice way to put it. But the cameras are there, never think of, you know, don't ever worry that they're on there, that they're going to catch you doing something unless you're doing something wrong. If you're doing the basic job, it's only going to capture you doing it right. And again, we're not going to look at it unless we have to. Almost done here. School bus, car seats and boosters. In a bus, anyone under 4 years old has to be in a car seat or one of the high back booster seats. You cannot just use a regular booster seat in a bus. Yep.
Most of the students I have are like around that age, and most of them don't be in car seats.
In a bus, they don't have to be if they're over 4. If they're under 4, so if they're 4 and older, they don't have to be in a car seat. The day they hit 4, the day they hit 4, they can just be buckled in, because you don't have the shoulder. The boosters are mainly to raise the kid up a little bit so the shoulder belt goes in the right direction. We don't have shoulder belts on the buses. So the bands, everyone's got to be up till 8 years old, a car seat or a booster. So anyway, we will do, when we do the pre-service class, we will show everybody how to use car seats and boosters in case you don't know how. Power doors on the buses, all I need to state about that, if you're in one of the if you're in one of the yellow buses, up by the top of that door, there's a red button, so in the event of emergency, if the power doesn't work, there's a way to manually open the door. You can ask your driver about it. Being a professional over the radio, again, you should know how to use the radio as a monitor, so in case your driver becomes incapacitated and you have to pick up the microphone, you know enough, you have to push the button, wait for the beep, and then you just speak into it. After you're done speaking, let the button go. We have drivers and monitors sometimes, especially when an emergency is coming up, they get nervous and they don't let go of the button, and they're talking and saying, do you hear me, do you hear me? But meanwhile, they're not letting go of the button. All right, this is just, I know it's an hour and a half, which I will put you in for your pay for automatically, so don't add it to your timesheet. This is just such a basic outline of responsibilities. I know it's not everything. I know you're still going to have questions and stuff. Like I say, I'm hoping towards the end of this week, I'm back to work, or early next week, that we'll do the pre-service training. But if you have any individual questions about stuff, ask your driver. If because your driver, if you're a sub-driver, if you're not sure how to do something, ask your sub-driver, whatever. Or come talk to Chris Ryan, and we'll give you the direct scoop. So I don't need any of these booklets back, but if you want to give them back, Kaylee, I'll talk to you. Yes, yours I guess I need back. Kaylee, I've got a sign-in sheet for you.
So you don't need these?
Nope, they're your copy if you want them, but if you want to give them back to me, I'll take them. Thank you.
Nah, can he get it? You need it to sign.
Yeah.
I just want to say,
So you have to sign it.
any numbers.
So you can give it to him.
Okay. Just let me know if you do. I'll let you know. All right.
Because I didn't want to not tell you guys and then you try to call them.
Yep. Now I'm going to give you, all right, okay, all right, so you signed your sheets, right? As you were going through. All right, so that works, so that was going to be in your new employee packet. So I'm going to give you, this talks about the fingerprinting. So, starting with when you get a first paycheck, we break it up over like a payment schedule, like if you want to give them $20 a week or whatever, however you want to work that out. So this just explains that. Since you signed the booklet, you can just keep this booklet in there. This gives you the stuff that we just went over today, but you can keep a
Oh, cause you
copy.
got the heater on.
This talks about the sexual harassment.
It was next
I
week.
just need back, after you've read through it, the last page. We will do a video on this one day next week. Modernist handbook, same thing, I get back the last page. I'm not gonna give you this because we're not actually doing it yet. 3 letters of reference. Your name goes here, how long they've known you goes here, and you go out and sign down here. These are personal references, all right? Employee handbook, after you've read through it, or at least you just have to sign to say you received it. You don't have to, whatever you do with it. This is payroll packet. I will set you up probably tomorrow or Monday or Wednesday to see Carrie. She's human resources right here, but this is the payroll packet you'll have to fill out. If you have questions about how to fill out the tax forms and all, she will go over that with you. So, no problem, thank you. I know we gave you a lot on the first day, so here's all this stuff. This afternoon, since you did the training class, I'm not gonna make you come back in this afternoon. You just did a ride-along this morning, right, with Ryan? So I don't think we need you this afternoon. If we do, can I give you a call if we end up needing you? So, all right. Grab one of the, did you grab a timesheet already that she just put out? Timesheets out there. Just keep track of what you do. Like this morning, you were 6:15 till you're finishing up now at 11 o'clock. So just put that and hand the timesheet every Friday afternoon or every Monday morning. Just hand it and keep track of your hours until you get on a permanent run. Once you're on a permanent run, your hours will stay the same. I'll have to see if they just, I know she just put timesheets out there, but I don't know if she just, are they on the table on a green piece of paper, or I don't know if she left them out there or not. Alright, I'll have to get some more. It looks like the green sheet over there, but. Did she put them in one of the other trays? Maybe I'll take a look. Yes. Kaylee, I need you to sign that you were here though.
Waterville, would you like me to have them call you back? They have,
Yeah, I'll be in a
displays
minute.
is
Oh, what, this place?
for, achievements.
Yeah, I'll call him back.
Scott, she said these are the new ones.
Okay. Which say old, even though I had written new on them, but somebody
Oh, no,
changed
she
it
said
to
those
old.
are the new ones,
Here's a
so-
copy, here's a payroll sheet, Kaylee. So that's what you
Thank
can
you.
just use. That's what I thought we were using, and Chris told me I wasn't.
Two things, right? So you just said it about the time sheet. Because me and her were speaking about this. When we have a meeting and stuff like that, do we put
You don't have to put, because I automatically put it on. Like, I'll automatically put on the hour and a half.
I usually still do it.
But she was
I have no problem with that.
6:15 to like 11 something.
That's fine. I always make sure that Jay has like the sexual harassment training or this training. Don't worry, he goes through the timesheet, he will question me. Because if he'll see it on your thing that you went to 11, he'll ask me, did you do a midday? I'll say, no, it's the training that was already did. Like, today's training will go in next week's timesheet though. So, alrighty?
And one more thing.
Sure.
My bus keep leaking.
Drink soap.
No, for real.
Where's it leaking?
I think the back. Because today it was a big puddle, Myra said.
Alright.
And then
That's
she-
I should say it's a brand new bus. It's only a year old, that bus. That doesn't mean anything, but alright.
When I look, I don't know if it's coming either from the back window or from the door.
That's probably the only way the bus ever gets cleaned.
Listen, since I've been on that bus,
It's been clean, I bet you have.
I've been cleaning
And
that
I'm
bus.
sure she's happy. Oh, you know what I forgot to bring up about buckling the seatbelts in?
I've been doing that too.
I know, but I didn't remind everybody else that,
And
so.
another thing I had to do, I don't know if I can get in trouble for this, right? So one of the other, there's like 2 specific kids that go on the bus and they use the seatbelt on the edge.
Yeah,
They strap themselves, but they literally still be ending up all over the place. So what I did was I seatbelt that
yeah,
seatbelt under so we can use the other one.
yeah, that's fine. I was just saying, we don't, you know, these kids, it's not worth fighting battle. Legally, they do not have to wear a seatbelt. That's the law.
He asked me to grab the seatbelt one day, and I was just like, no, don't do that. He was like, but it's stuck. I was like, you're not supposed to use it. That's not supposed to be like that for you.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I say, we don't, you know, again, guys, yeah, it's not worth fighting. You know, it's one thing they're elementary, preschool, elementary, yeah, they have to have seatbelts. The older kids, they don't need them.
I don't have older kids. The rest are pain.
Yeah,
I see you in the afternoon.
We gotta bring
Would you ride with the
everything
sport
in.
or ride along? With Chris, yeah. With DJ. With DJ. I don't think so, because I mean, you sat through the class, I mean, you got like a pretty long day today, so I will call you if we need you, Sam. All right, but tomorrow morning, back 6:15. All righty, hope I didn't drive you all crazy today.
No, I'm good. You good?
I'm sorry about earlier, Scott.
No, I know it's not you, but I'm very distracted today, and everything's just got my...
Sit.
I'm not that anxious for surgery tomorrow again, so...
You'll be fine.
Oh, I know I will be, Joe, that's not my... I just feel very overwhelmed today trying to do everything, and I'm not worried about the surgery part. Either I live or I die, so...
Bag's over there.
Yeah.
I just moved it over there.
Huh?
I just moved it over there because you had it over
Yeah, I
here.
know. Tammy, it's been extra.
This is so light. How much does it weigh?
18 pounds.
Oh my god, he's freaking light as hell. She gave him to me when she gave it to me over there. When she gave it to me, yeah, how much crap was like in the air.
He's gonna be 2 and 6.
What'd you do, drop him today?
No, he was chasing Ryan around before he went and took Johanna out. And I didn't realize he went by the bus that's parked by the thing. And when I went to go scare him, he went like that. And he, yeah.